starting class today in Shavasana. You've just got up, I know, but lie down again and make yourself comfortable. Not going to be quite as letting go as like Yoga Nidra or something. We'll still be aware we're here, but just make yourself comfortable in Shavasana. Maybe use a cushion under your head if you want to. And if the floor's cold like mine is, put a blanket or something down underneath you, just so that you feel relaxed enough to take this position. We're going to do a body scan, so we will be aware of what we're doing. But you want to be relaxed enough to be able to focus on what you're doing here. So Shavasana, a lot of people feel that it's just lying still. It's not. You can get an awful lot from this position, much more than you will from many other asanas that we take. So remember, this is an active pose, but in a different way. It's doing much more for you internally, but externally it doesn't look like it's doing an awful lot. So this is about the inside of you today. So hopefully now you've all got yourself into your comfortable position of Shavasana, still aware. So just to begin, bring your attention first of all to what is your shield and protection from and your connection to everything which is outside of you. So your shell, your skin, bring your attention first of all to your skin. So that is where you start and finish. So just taking your attention around your body, feeling that very outside part of you. You can feel the connection of air to your skin. You can feel the hardness of the surface on the back of you through your skin. You can feel little bits of you moving potentially as you wriggle, and that's your skin is moving too, remember. So your skin weighs about 8 pounds, or about 3.5 kilos for those of us that work in metric. So it doesn't probably feel very heavy on your body. But 8 pounds is quite a weight if you think of it all together. And there's about 22 square feet of it holding you rather together. So if you laid it all out, there's enough to fill a nice big room, or a small room perhaps in some of our cases. So 22 square feet and 8 pounds, just a few figures that relate to this living, breathing organ. The biggest organ you have is your skin. And take your attention now to the thinnest skin on you, which is on your eyelids. And notice if any light is permeating through your eyelids. Can you draw further away from that light? Can you direct your vision inwards, away from the light through your eyelids? And then moving your attention now to the thickest skin covering you on your heels and your palms of your hands. Stretch your palms out. And then feel your heels by flexing your feet and pressing gently through your heels. We probably recognize the hard, thicker skin of our heels, but the palms also are one of the thickest parts covering you. So your skin is also part of your immune system. It releases your sweat and some waste, helping to keep fluids balanced and regulating your temperature. So now find the warmest area of your skin on you. Where feels warmest? On the outside of you, on your skin on the outside. It may surprise you. It may not necessarily be covered in clothes. It may be an external piece of skin. Then find the coolest piece of skin on you. Is it on your back body, your front body? Maybe the tips of your toes or your nose. Try and determine where it is. And then, like the three bears, find the skin which feels just right on you. It's probably the skin which you're hardly aware of. So focusing on that area of your skin where it feels just right. On the outside layer, it is the epidermis. That is your waterproofing. That outside layer, epidermis, waterproofs you. It wraps around you. And yet every day that skin changes, shedding old cells as new ones rise up to the surface. So this outer layer of skin, the very outside of you, the epidermis, you actually shed about 77 pounds or 35 kilos of it in your lifetime. But that's all replaced without you really noticing it. So even as we lie here, your cells are being replaced on that outer layer of you and the epidermis. And then taking your attention then slightly below the epidermis to the next layer of you, the deeper layer, the thicker layer of your skin called the dermis. The dermis stays with you, unlike the epidermis. The dermis stays with you throughout your life. And it contains proteins, you'll have heard of collagen and elastin, that keep your skin supple and strong. This layer also holds your sweat glands, your hair follicles, and sensory receptors, among other things. So moving through this layer of you, your dermis, and coming inwards, below this, focus on your skeleton. So you have 206 bones within you and more than 400 joints. Begin to feel some of them. Feel the weight, the density, maybe the lightness, the length, through your mind's eye. And then trace, first of all, back down to the bones in your feet. So the bones in your feet, there are many of them, 27, I think, in each foot. Each time your foot strikes the ground as you walk, a force of 3 times your weight will move up through your skeleton. Your skeleton is cast iron strong. Now trace your bones up through your shins and your knees and your thighs. and into your body, to the bones in your hips and your pelvis, and up to your ribs. Your right side of your ribs, the left side of your ribs, from front tracing round to the back where they meet your spine. The bones in your ribs are major suppliers of your body's red blood cells, as well as being the cage that protects some of your most precious organs, your lungs and your heart. Move your attention now to the bones in your fingers and your hands. Have a little wiggle if you need to, just to relate to where we're focusing, if it helps. And then trace along your forearms and your elbows and your upper arms and into your shoulders and onto your collarbones, and trace as they all move towards that central column of your skeleton, your spine. Your spine, of course, goes from the bottom upwards or the other way around if you focus on it. But follow the route now of your spine from your chest, either through focusing on the front or the back of your body, whichever you relate best to. Follow the route of your spine from your chest, through your neck, and into your skull. And here in your skull, we find that singular floating bone, the hyoid bone. You'll have heard me talk about it, just below your tongue. That little bone, which is part of our postural strength when I cue it in Tadasana. And then at the tip of your tongue, find your teeth and run your tongue now along their enamel. This is the toughest material in your body, the enamel on your teeth. Now slowly start to stretch your bones and joints and skin as we prepare to move. Stretch through your fingers, stretch through your feet, your legs, have a roll if you need to do through your hips, bring some movement back into your body, and then just roll onto your front and still stay grounded on the mat. For a moment, just face down on your folded arms. And then lying here with your face down, have a rock through your hips from side to side. So just rocking gently on your front, from side to side. Head down. I've got my head up because I'm talking as usual. And then stop rocking and watch for any pulse sensations. Maybe around your belly. Maybe you can feel a pulse in your belly against the floor. Move up then to the area where you can focus around your heart and see if you can feel your heart beating on the floor. Don't worry if you can't, you're still alive, don't worry. But see if you can just feel that beat of your heart. And then come up slowly into Sphinx. So coming up onto your elbows, under shoulders, hands facing forwards. The legs behind you, they can either be hip distance, they can be together if you'd rather, or hip distance, or the width of your mat, which helps your lower back a little bit. Connect again to the bones in your pelvis and gently push through your pubic bone and your pelvic bones into the floor. Lift the tummy and feel connected through the glutes so that you've got a nice, stable lower half without being too forceful. Make this as relaxed as you can, this Sphinx. And then we're moving up to the most important muscle in your body here, and we're moving up to your heart. So as you're here, think of moving from your tailbone. You should have a slow curve up through your spine, up through to the top of your skull. So you're not throwing your head back and up and not looking down completely. You've got that continual line running like a nice soft curve through the back of your body. And then come to the front of your body to where you can focus on your heart and draw that heart slightly forward by pulling gently, through your palms and through your elbows and forearms. Draw them back slightly and move your heart forward. And then see if you can just lift where you can focus on your heart. Lift it up just a little higher. By doing this, you'll have to engage the back of the body. You'll have to engage between your shoulder blades and take that movement through our back that we spoke of the other day. They're like Venetian blinds. So you want to think of your back drawing downwards to hold you forwards, moving the heart forward. So your heart is the size of a small fist. Close your eyes if you're comfortable here when I talk, and just hold this position and breathe. So the heart is the size of a small fist, and it weighs only about 8 to 10 ounces. But this little thing keeps you going. This is the center of your engine, essentially. It contracts and relaxes approximately 100,000 times a day. It contracts and relaxes approximately 35 million times a year. It contracts and relaxes approximately 3 billion times in the average life. Huge numbers there. An enormous amount of activity for one small thing, each minute, each day. So then from here, we're going to move into Cobra. So you can either bring your head back down and slide your arms back so that your hands are then fingertips in line with your shoulders, or you can just move through into Cobra from there. But make sure you feel you've got the right alignment from hands through elbows to shoulders. So just bring yourself into a gentle Cobra, but we're switching on the back of the body a little bit more. And we're moving the heart forward a little bit more and up a little bit more. So watch the lower back here. If you have any sensation that feels wrong, widen the legs. Switch on that area in the lower half of the body again. Find the stability. Squeeze your glutes to hold a little bit more. If you can come up a little bit further in Cobra, into a stronger Cobra, without locking your elbows, then do so. Otherwise, you can keep down quite low. Don't need to come up really high. We're just holding here for a second or two, so find your breath now. So going back to focus on your heart, on the front of your body. So anger and fear can raise the heart rate by 30 to 40 beats per minute. That's a huge number compared to the normal beat. So use your breath now to try and calm and balance that heartbeat. So focusing on your heart, breathing in, and as you exhale, release it from your heart. Take 2 or 3 breaths. Just trying to slow things down. There's a lot of strength going into this pose. There are things activating. Hopefully you're not angry or frightened. But your heart rate will start to rise a little bit just as we start to move a little bit more. And in a second, we'll move a little bit more than that. Just try and keep that beat down to a sort of normal balanced rate by using your exhale. That's what the breath is for. Or one of the things we use the breath for. And it's a really good thing to know that you've got that support there from your breath to calm you in heated moments. and to help others by telling them to do the same. So then we're going to, from here, come up onto our knees and push back into Balasana, but keep your hands there, because we're just going to take a gentle flow through Balasana to Cobra and back again. So all we're doing is using our hands, the palm of the hands, that thick skin, to just draw ourselves forward and come back up into Cobra. And then draw ourselves back and come back into Balasana. So taking it on the breath, I would inhale as I moved forward into Cobra, allowing the hips to come down. And then I would exhale as I move back into Balasana, Child's Pose. Hips go right back to the heels if you can. Take it easy, take it slowly. Don't push too far in either direction. Quite powerful in the strolled shoulders, so if you'd rather stop at any point, then please do. But as you're doing this, and if you can close your eyes or focus inwards at least, can you start to feel your heart getting a little bit quicker? The rate of your heartbeat moving a little bit higher. So just a very gentle, slow movement, but using quite a lot of strength here as we move. We're trying to use the breath just to keep the balance there, to try and keep the heart from too much exertion, to use all the other parts of our body to support it here. But of course, we're pumping through the blood through our circulation, and it's needing to get regenerated. So the heart beats a little bit faster to make sure that happens. You might can feel that now. So you have 4 chambers in your heart and 2 pumps that are working there to give your blood more oxygen to help your muscles move. If you've had enough of this, if you're feeling it on your knees particularly, then please rest just for a moment back into Balasana, Child's Pose. We're all going to take that pose now and just settle back down into extended Child's Pose. Head to the floor if you can. If you can't, fold your arms under your head. Take the arms out of the extended position now and rest them on your forearms. Bring your elbows in other words. And just take a few breaths. And see where you can feel your heartbeat now. Can you feel it in the front of your body, the back of your body, maybe in your belly again against your thighs? Those pulses on the other parts of your body have the same beat, remember, hopefully. So after a few breaths here, we're going to come up and sit in Dandasana. So in Dandasana, we're going to take an option here. I'm going to move my instruments around here a little bit. Okay, so in Dandasana, we're sitting up straight. Might be wishing I hadn't worn my warm jumper now. You can feel the heat generating from the energy. Your muscles, when they've got too much energy, release it as heat. That's why we feel hot now. Okay, so choice here. Yogic Cycling. So you can either put your hands behind you one at a time as I do, and then either keep your feet on the floor and just do this, or you can bring the legs up and do this. Or if you don't want to do either of those, choice also is to maybe just do some windscreen wipers. So you decide if you're going to take the full thing, you're going to switch on that belly and try and keep a long front body. We don't want to be rounded down as we do this. We want to keep a long body. So it's a bit like Navasana, boat pose. And then all we're doing is taking one leg at a time out. So this is quite hard work compared to what we've just been doing, obviously. And we're still looking at what's happening with our heart here, whichever move you've taken. In your heart, as I said, there are 4 chambers. We have a 2 atria. An atrium, I know this from Rome actually, the other week there, means entrance hall. So that's the sort of collection points. And then our two ventricles, which ventricle means little belly. So they're more like a chamber, that's more like a reservoir, I suppose. Okay, I'm going to stop while I talk. So I'm just going to take them down and do this. If you get tired at any point, then please do. It's not a challenge, this one. So I will stop doing anything because I'm going to make too much noise. I'm going back to the windscreen wipers. So you can feel your heart starting to work now, hopefully. That's the point of us doing this part of the class. And what's happening is your right atrium. So if you can close your eyes and focus as I talk on these parts of your body inside you that are working, take your mind off what you're doing. Wonder if anybody's still yogic cycling. Well done if you are. So going to your heart, on the right side of you, in the right atrium, this collects all your poorly oxygenated blood. So anything that's needing revamping. And then it sends it through to the right ventricle on the same side, which in turn sends it to the lungs for oxygenation. Oops. And then this newly oxygenated blood then goes into your left atrium on the left side of your heart. And then it moves into your left ventricle, which then pumps all this freshly oxygenated blood through the aorta into your body. So I don't know who knew all that. I didn't when I was checking it out, but I think it's really quite interesting and quite a simple process when you think in it. It's quite a simple little mechanism, the heart, and what it does is major. So we don't need massive engineered things to do these major jobs. Anyway, that's all about the heart. Please stop, everybody, and just breathe. And then sit back up into Dandasana. Have a little shake out if you need to of arms or legs. And then just close your eyes, hands on your thighs. Don't switch on this position too much, but try and keep that long front body feeling. Feet maybe a little bit flexed. Because as you do that, then you'll help to pump the blood up and down your legs. So maybe a little bit of pressure through your heels, reaching up through your crown. And again, find your breath. And breathe in, slow the breath down as it comes in with new energy. And release the breath slowly as you let go of any stagnant, wasted stuff that you don't need. And just take a few breaths, and as you do, notice the reaction in your body, notice the reaction in your heart particularly, as it starts to slow back down and return back to normal. So the normal rate that the blood is pumped through your aorta from the heart is 1 mile per hour. Which doesn't sound an awful lot, but it's pretty fast inside of you that sort of thing's happening. So we're going to come now to either Sukhasana or kneeling. And if you want to kneel and sit on your blocks and a cushion, maybe even do that, just so it takes any strain off your legs and knees. I'm going to use my bolster. But as I say, if you'd rather sit in Sukhasana or on your cushion, then please do. Take a different seated position from Dandasana. Okay, so we're going to start to think now of going in an even deeper part of us into our different systems inside of us. Our heart is obviously part of our cardiac system, our respiratory system we've looked at a little bit here. This is to do with the central nervous system. So we're going to do a Simon Says, and it's about proprioception. So hopefully you're all in a position you feel you can comfortably shut your eyes and not feel you're going to fall over. If you do feel dizzy, just try and half close your eyes. But keep your eyes open for a minute, because I need to tell you what to do and you need to see. So we're going to take our arms out to the side at shoulder height. We're going to try and hold them there. If it gets too heavy on the arm that's not working, you can take it down. So the practice here will be on the breath, and as you breathe in, we'll be touching something. As you breathe out, you'll be going back to this position. So it will be, it's not head, shoulders, knees and toes, but kind of like it. We're going to touch the top of your skull. We're going to touch the third eye. I'm not doing it on the breath, I'm just showing you. We're going to touch your right eye with your right hand. We're going to touch your nose. We're going to touch your lips, and we're going to touch your chin. So it's moving from the crown down to the chin. And then once you've done that, we turn to the left side. So from the left side, you go chin, mouth, nose, left eye, third eye, skull. And then once you've done both sides, you do them both together. Skull, third eye, eyes, nose, mouth, chin, chin, mouth. But in between you're opening and closing, okay? So it's on a round. You've got to try and remember where you are and what you're doing as I'm talking as well. So when you're ready to begin, arms out to the side, or one arm if you'd rather not do them both to start. So you breathe in and you touch your skull. You breathe out and you extend your arm out. Next one is third eye on the in-breath. If you want to do the breath the other way, then please feel free. Open out. Then it's your right eye with your right hand. Open out. Then your nose. Open out. Then your mouth. Open out on the exhale or the inhale, whichever you're using. But use the breath to slow you down here. Chin. Open out, and then that hand either comes down or stays up if you want a bit of weight training here. And then we go to the left side from the chin up. So just continue with that. Once you've done the left side, go to both arms doing it, and then start all over again. Okay, so eyes closed here. What are we working with? We've done this a lot in other classes. It's our sensory nerves, our proprioceptors, particularly we're using here. So the proprioceptors are in our muscles and our tendons and our inner ear. And they're telling us the position of your body. So you know where you're sitting here, but you also know where your arms are and where they're moving to, and you know where your nose is when you want to touch it, or maybe you don't. So just notice how good your proprioceptors are working, and how well rather this morning. So this is all part of your central nervous system, which is situated in our brain and our spinal cord, which I like to call the superhighway. That spinal cord which runs messages and instructions back and forth through you at warp factor speed. So as you reach out and reach for the next part of you as you come inwards, that message is shooting back up and down and telling your hand where to go and what's next. It's using your memory, etc. here, as well as your proprioceptors. So a good little exercise, particularly to pass on to older people if you feel they're maybe needing to reconnect with where they are physically. Proprioceptor work is really important to stop people falling as they age, is one of the things. So it's part of our peripheral nervous system, our sensory and motor nerves, which we spoke of last week or the week before. And they're all connected to this superhighway, millions of them. And they're all sending communications at this moment, not just about what you're doing with your arms and where you're touching, but they're sending messages at the same time about pressure in you or pressure on the outside of you, about heat or cold, about pain or discomfort. lots of communication, all going on at the same time, much more complicated than any computer or system a human being can build. So the highest concentration of these receptors are in your lips, tongues, and fingertips. So the messages going backwards and forwards, the highest concentration are the little nerves that send these messages, not about proprioception necessarily, more about heat, taste, etc. Touch. It's your tongue, your lips, and your fingertips. So wherever you've got to now, you might feel a little imbalanced at stopping here, but we're going to stop now. So if you feel you really need to stop at your chin or your skull, or your top of your skull rather, then please finish that little bit of the round and then come back to just sitting for a moment. Okay, so hopefully we're all ready. We're going to take just a couple of side bends and then hold the third one on each side. So breathing in, lifting the left arm up, I'm going for first, and using my right hand as a little bit of support, reaching down through my right side and up through my left side, that agonist antagonist that we spoke of earlier in the week. And then inhaling back up to the top, exhaling that arm down. Taking that again, maybe going a little bit further, tiny little bit further each time, maybe not. Try and keep that top shoulder up and in the correct position. Keep that tummy engaged. Work with your breath. On the next one, we're going to hold. So make sure you're using some support here as you go over. Contracting armpit to hip, opening up the top side and just resting, pausing there. So look at your position first of all. Think about your neck. Is it comfortable? Can you make it more comfortable? Maybe if you look downwards, maybe if you look forwards and draw that hyoid bone in back towards your back of your throat. A little bone under your tongue there. Maybe you need to take that top elbow back a little bit and open up the front of that side of the chest. Maybe you want to bring your arm a little bit closer to the ear and open up a little bit more in this shape. Then think of the lower half and make sure that left side, in my case, the side that's open, make sure that hip is sitting down on whatever you're on top of at the moment. And then just find your breath for a second. And then inhale back up to the top and exhale that arm down. Same thing, other side, with the pause on the third one. So inhale, reaching up through the fingertips, but also through the skull. And then exhale over, using some support there. Of course, it's not just your hand back up to the top. Take one more and then we're going to hold in the third. Not just your hand that's supporting you here. All the systems in your body are supporting you just in this movement. Your respiratory system's having to help you. Your cardiac system, obviously, is trying to help you. Your central nervous system, all the messages going back up and down. It's not just that hand that's supporting you. Hold in the third one here, in your little Bananasana shape, sitting down. And here's a fun fact to remember. It might be the only one you do remember here, though there's one at the end you probably will. But did you know that you share 50% of the same genes as a banana? The next time you do Bananasana, you'll remember that fact. Okay, inhale up to the top, exhale the arm down. Okay, so just to finish, we're going to take some diaphragmatic or yogic breathing. So remember our diaphragm passes round the bottom of our ribs here, and as we breathe, that's the muscle that we want to focus on moving. So you can either do it with your hands somewhere around your ribs, where you feel that your diaphragm is. That might be a nice way to take this today, and just close your eyes and just breathe. But as you breathe, as you draw the breath in, imagine your diaphragm swelling out in all directions. So it's like it's being pulled out like one of those parachute things the kids play with. And then as it exhales, it softens back inwards. So it's that moving effect. It's quite a tight muscle, but it will move more and more freely the more you use it. So just as you do this, another fun fact, more than 2,600 gallons of air pass through your lungs each day. And obviously, the better you breathe, the more air and good air we draw in, and the more stagnant and bad energy or air, carbon monoxide, we displace from our lungs. So just continue to breathe as I talk here and focus on that diaphragm. The diaphragm muscle contracts and relaxes to expand and relax the lungs. That is what is moving your lungs here. So the more you focus on the diaphragm as you breathe, the better your lungs will also function. So pranayama, as we're doing here, is really important to keep practicing to maintain that strong respiratory health. And the word lung is from an old Germanic word meaning light, as in light and heavy. And the lungs are light enough, interestingly, to float in water, as they are filled with millions of alveoli, those little air pouches inside. And having read this, I realised why I never want to eat liver and lights, because I realise what they are now. So that old English of liver and lights, that thing that would have been in your menu, probably something to avoid in my case. So our respiratory system, going back to that, its job is to process and deliver the oxygen to our cells. That's what you're doing now. As you breathe and move your diaphragm and expand your lungs and retract your lungs and retract the diaphragm, you're delivering oxygen to the cells. And those cells in turn move to break down glucose in our food in our belly and release their energy. So what you're releasing there is what you're also using at the same time here. But also it moves across our vocal cords, which is what I'm doing here with the respiratory system in effect. It's making you be able to hear me speak. And it also pulls smells in through our noses. So just finishing with a couple more breaths, focusing on your diaphragm there. See if you can make it really smooth, even, wide, and then relax and release it as your lungs retract and release all the stale energy from you. And then let go of the breath and open your eyes. So I hope you've enjoyed learning a little about the inside of you, and hopefully realize once more just what a miracle the human body is. And one last fact that I said you would remember, and this is one to pass on to the kids in your life probably, it might come up at a pub quiz, possibly not, is that the average adult passes wind 14 times a day. But who's counting? It's not me. Thank you for your practice, everybody, this week. Look forward to our last week of pop-up next week, and see you on Tuesday. Have a great week. Monday. Have a great weekend. Namaste.